All right, I'm a little excited about this. This is going to be the contact charger mod. The contact USB-C charger mod for a 3DS XL. This gap in the case makes me think that the battery might be a little puffy. Let's check that out. These are captive screws, so you just need to sort of loosen them and then pull on the tabs on the side, pop that off. Oh. I guess it was just improperly put back on. There's no battery. All right. Which is something I asked for when people send devices. I have tons of batteries. I don't need to deal with the post office regulations about mailing batteries. I can charge the device on my own. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 screws. Got to keep track of that tiny one. Where is my... like to keep the large outside screws on the left and then the smaller inside screws on the right. All right, my preferred way to open is to have the cartridge face you. Oh. Did I leave a screw in? Yes, I did. If you feel a lot of resistance, you missed a screw. Just stuck something out. I should come out. There we go. I didn't even notice. Oh, I always forget this. Always do a memory card check. You don't want to pull it out. There we go. There we go. Just pop the flex cables off. And then we just pull it out. I didn't even know. Oh, I'll always forget this. Always do a memory card check. You don't want to pull it out. There you go. There we go. Just pop the flex cables off. And this screw is bound up. I don't know why. I got it out, but that was weird. Okay. This is fairly simple. I like to do these mods without removing the motherboard because you run the risk of breaking these flex cables. These flex cables are only rated to be plugged in and out very few times. So what we're going to do, this one is totally destroyed. Wow, I wonder how that happened. Let's see. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to separate the plastic wings from the main body. In order to do that, I take my thumb and I press it out on the outside of the wing, and then I come in with some flush cutters. There we go. That wing is separated. You really do want to apply pressure while you're doing this so you don't rip a pad when you cut these. That one should be separated too. Let me look. No, it's a little still on. There we go. Now we're going to put a lot of flux on these. I'm going to remove the Wi-Fi module so I can put it off to the side so the cable's not too close to the soldering. We're going to get tons of flux under there. I'm going to see if I can remove the plastic entirely. That would make this easier. Let's see. Slide it out. I'm going to hold down the metal tab. And then try and slide out the plastic. There we go. That's not good. Something snapped. Oh, it just bent a little. There we go. Maybe I don't recommend you do that. I have sort of an intimate familiarity with this. That gives me exposure to that pad. It makes it a lot easier to remove it without lifting it. Although that pad is not connected to this, so I didn't need to do that. No, I'm not going to do that for the other side. You see how this sort of wing kind of floats? That pad is connected to the main body, and that pad is very easy to rip, so you want to remove the wings first. We're going to add low-temp solder. Where is it? Here it is. Here's my low-temp solder. I don't remember which way is up and down for this. Hopefully you can see that. We're going to add low-temp solder to this pad, that pad, that pad, these two, that one. We can't see that other one, but that's fine. We're going to remove the wing first, and that's why we snip the wings. I use full heat even though I use low-temp solder just so I can melt the regular. Solder underneath and have them flow together. Let's get this started. That's just going. To come right off because I removed that wing, add some low-temp solder there, some low-temp solder there. Now let's get this wing off. It just came right off. Genius. You want to be mindful of where you put these. You don't want to lose them. I'm just going to put them right there. Now we just need some low-temp solder right here. The one difficulty. Removing this is obviously you don't want to hurt the pads. We're going to spend about 20 seconds heating everything up first. Let me put the fan on, get these fumes to blow away. We're going to get everything nice and warm. Then when it is, we're going to start very gently lifting. We don't want to tear these pads. Look, we have a wiggle. That's what you want to see. Nice wiggle. There we go. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We're going to add some flux, and then we're going to use the desoldering braid. This is a copper braid. This is the brand I get, but you can find your own. Most will do fine. Then we're going to desolder all that. We're going to do that nice and slow. We don't want to rip any pads. You don't want to use too much heat. Let me bring the heat down to 300. Although some people might think that's too much heat, but I do just fine. Come on, there we go. Nice and flat. These are nice and flat. These are little raised still. All right, it's all nice and flat. Now, obviously, it's going to be a little difficult to arrange the pad. Oh, I didn't bring it with me. I have to go grab a kit for this. I'll be but a moment. Let me make sure I have the bezels. I do have the bezels, so this is a white one. We're going to use a white bezel. These should be the new ones, correct? Which one of these are the new ones and which one is the old ones? Let me do a quick comparison check. Oh, they both are. I ran out of space. I had to put it in here. So there's our bezel. I'm going to go get a board. I'll be right back. All right, I'll be right back. Get changed. You want the USB-C to be able to rise to the top. I think I might use a round file to chase that corner. Oh yeah, that's so much faster. All right, there we go. I don't know how much you can see. We've cut out those little stair. Steps, those little ears. Now we can put this in and look at the kind of cuts we have to make. So, we're gonna have to cut here, and we're gonna have to cut here. And then I'll take this off too. All right, so we can just use the flush cutters for most of these. For this one, I'm gonna want to do something a little bit stronger. Let's just take those off. Isn't that good? All right. I... Wonder if I can take this with flush cutters. I'll just try. All right, let's see if we have a fit. This corner is still a little high. All right. Now let's see how much space we have with the bezel on. So we're gonna put the bezel on and see if there's any more obstructions. Seems to be one. I think this region needs to be flattened. We're gonna bring out the big guns. Let's deburr this a little. Now let's see if we have a fit. That's a good sound. That is stopping it from going down. Oh, I see. I think these two little raised corners. Can I even get the flush cutters in there? No. There we go. I like touching the top. Pretty sure that's all of our obstructions gone. And it looks like when it's finally assembled, it'll fit. So... let's get some of this plastic on. Where are my wipes? All right. All right, now for the exciting part. All right, we just got to assemble this. So you want to get past that lip. I think I'm gonna put a chamfer in these to make them easier to put together. There we go. Looks good. Now we're gonna... Here's the game plan. These 4 screws are gonna come out entirely. And then I'm gonna loosen all these screws about a turn or half turn. And then I should be able to... Yeah, there we go. Now I have enough clearance to do the mod. So we're just gonna put this in. Make sure it's nice and deep. Turn around. Big note. Big note. Do not do the left side or the right side. We're gonna do that later, so leave the left and the right pads alone. You're gonna wanna do these 4 pads first. My method to attack this is first, flux. We'll dab there, dab there. Right? Step 1 is to add solder. So we're gonna heat up the pad. Heat up the pad and then bring the solder in, melting it. I'll open this up for step 2. All right, we've heated it up. We've added the solder. Now we're gonna push it down and in. We're gonna heat up the solder again. And this time we're worried about making sure that the PCB lays flat and in place, and that the solder forms a connection between the PCB and the motherboard. Now we're gonna remove it, let it cool, and then lift. And you're gonna wanna do it on the outside big pad when you start this. So that's the first part of the leveling procedure. Next, we're gonna heat up the pad. Then we're gonna bring in the solder. Okay, now push it down, heat up the solder again. Just get it to flow nicely. Pick it up, let it cool, and then take your thumb off. We're gonna add a little bit more flux, and then we're gonna heat up these center pads. We're not gonna do the leveling procedure for the center pads. Well, we could. Let me just turn this fan on. The fan is on. Let's put away some of these fumes. All right, now we're gonna test continuity against this inductor, the one with the 03 on it. All right. So we're gonna do ground, ground, ground. We don't have a short between power. We catch power. We caught power. There's power. There's no short between power and ground. So the right side is power, the left side is ground. Middle pad towards the right is our power, and there's no short. And then this left pad is our ground. All right, let's take this off.
Okay.
We're not going to screw it back up yet. I am gonna try to flow solder here to get to the pad underneath on the front. It's not necessary, but it does make the connection a little bit stronger. So we're gonna add flux, see if we can't flow solder in there. There we go. I'm gonna heat up the pad and then bring in the solder from the outside. There we go. Now we have to set up the bezel. The bezel's gonna take the left and right pads that we didn't solder before. So here's our bezel. Here are our metal bits. So let's take this metal bit right here. That's one of our contact plate charges. And you're gonna take a pair of tweezers and you're gonna slip it between the metal plate and the plastic, like so. I don't know if you caught that, so, like so. And then, as you push it through, it'll lift it out. There we go. Now this one big tab, can you see that? This one big tab, you're gonna flex it back and forth until it breaks. There, it broke. Now it's gonna leave a little bit of a nub. Can you see the nub? I don't know if you can. The nub is right there where the tab was. So we're just gonna get a file. We're gonna file that down. Let me move this before I get metal dust on it. All right, now that that's down, we're going to clean it up a little bit with our rotary. All right. Now we're gonna take our bezel and the long arm is going to sort of just sit in the top. So what you want to do is push it down, and then you want to get the little arm to go into the armpit, like so. And then I like to grab, let's see, do I have them? I don't see my tweezers, so I'm just gonna use my fingers and I'm gonna, oh, missed the armpit. There we go. And then squeeze it in, like so. And we're gonna do that the same with the other one. Just grab it. This one's free floating. Remember, I took the plastic off of it, so there we go. Oh, I can't get this thing to focus. There we go. Can you see the nub? Now we're gonna file it down. All right. Cleaned up a little with the rotary. This one looks fine, it looks flat, but this one has a big old solder ball on it, so I am gonna try and desolder that before I put it in. I think I'm gonna try and straighten this little... That fits better all right now. We didn't put the screws back on to make this an easier fit, so I'm gonna lift. This a little. There we go, it's on. Now we're gonna add solder and it's the same. Rules as before, add the solder first and then worry about fitment second. So, flux add. A little flux. I'm just going to push it in a little bit while it's hot, so that it clears the top of the case when the top of the case comes down. We don't want to snag these. All right, now we're going to check continuity and make sure we don't have a short. It's the most dangerous time to have a short. Once we do that, we're going to put all the screws back in, and then we're going to put it together, test how the charge is. And then we're done. Nothing. Nothing. That's good. Good. All right, this should be left to left. And then we're good to go. And then when I put it together, I'm going to test continuity one more time, because you may have this squishing one of these wings inward, and it might touch the case. That's only if you've done something really bad in the fitment. So, screw this down. We're just going to screw all these back down. Be mindful of these. They're very easy to loose. They're not necessary, but you'll like to have everything that you had when you began. There shouldn't be any extra screws. Let's take things apart. When you're screwing these in, you want to go left, so you hear or feel a little click, and then screw it back. You want to go anti-clockwise until you hear a little click, and then go clockwise. There we go, everything is back together. I'll put this in. I'm going to put the long flex cable in first, a little harder with the way I have this set up. All right, so long flex cable goes in first and then a short one. All right, look at that. Beautiful. Look. At that. I may have cut the ears down a little too short, but that's fine. I'd rather that than the opposite. All right, apply a little pressure while I take my last continuity reading, and then we put a battery in and see if it charges. And we're golden. No short. So when we do the charge test, I am going to turn it on. That way I can make sure that I put the left and right in correctly. But we're going to do one quick test. Look at that. Goes in and we're charging. Now the power on test. Make. We're on. All right. So one side charging. Flip the cable and we have charging. All right. That is it. I'm just going to put it together and send this back to the customer. Okay?